I get mad when a guy will say, "Oh, well, I just stopped eating cookies and I lost 35 pounds." And I'm like, I didn't eat cookies to begin with. That doesn't help me any.
Right.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Loni Love, Emmy-winning talk show host and comedian.
And I'm Erica Montalvo, writer, showrunner, and of course, most importantly, Loni's super fun sidekick.
That's right, Erica, and thank you all for joining us for another episode. This will be our final episode of the year, and as we look ahead to the new year, it's time to start thinking about what we don't want to do in 2025. So for our grown-ass topic today, we'll be talking with Kim Alexis about the power of saying no. But before we dive in, we want to give a shout out to all of our listeners who have been sending us emails and recordings, and we just love hearing from you all. If you want to share your thoughts on the show or tell us what's on your mind, send us a voice note at gawtpod@gmail.com or record a voice message on our website, gawtpod.com. And if you're listening to us on the phone, follow us on Instagram, because we have some really good posts. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and tell your friends to like and subscribe too.
Yes, and I can't believe the year is almost over, but we have one more request for you guys. We're on a mission to reach 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So help us out by subscribing to our channel and sharing our videos with your friends.
And now, with all that said, Erica, what is on your mind for this final episode of the year?
Well, I've been doing a lot of reflecting, Loni Love, as you know, as I'm prone to do. And
yes.
Listen, we should all do that. I want to hear your thoughts, too, about this crazy year. But I told you last week was my birthday, or like a couple weeks ago. This is my birthday month. So at the conclusion of this month and the conclusion of my birthday that has been, again, the nines. We talked about the nines, right? So you're kind of zeroing in on that big birthday, but you're not quite there yet. And I mentioned that when I turned 29, I got my belly button pierced because I was freaked out about that. When I was 39, I was like trying to have a baby, so I was all freaked out about that. Now, in this nine, for some reason, I don't feel freaked out. And I was wondering to myself, why? Why am I not freaked out about this nine? Is it because I'm a grown-ass woman now? Is it because I'm more comfortable with my nines? But I have a common denominator. And this is the first nine that I've not been married. I was married in both my other nines.
Oh.
So
you think that has something to do with it?
Don't you think? I think that now I don't have any kind of expectations of another person wanting something from me. Do you know what I mean? I said, this is my nine only, by myself. I'm not in a couple nine. I'm not in some place where I need to be someplace in this relationship. I think this is solely my nine that I'm owning on my own, and there's less pressure to it in that instance. So I don't know. I think that's a big difference, is that this is my first single nine, and I'm embracing it.
Well, that I think just shows that you're becoming a grown-ass woman, and no matter how many nines that you see, you can always change. You always discover, you always change, and I'm glad that that's happening for you.
Well, do you think, I don't want to say what nine you're, like, where you, because I'm older than you, I'm pretty sure, but have you gotten to a place, especially this year, the end of the year, or is there any reflecting you're doing about, it's been a weird year for careers, it's been a year, weird year relationship-wise, even though you and James are always stable, but is there anything that's made you want to take something different into the next year or do something different?
No, I'm too busy trying to make money. I don't have time to think about what is, it's been hectic. The holiday season has been very, very hectic. As you know, I've been doing a bunch of shows, and it's just a lot has been happening. So I just look forward to maybe, having that week off between Christmas and actually I'm working the day after Christmas. So I literally have like maybe New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day.
I was going to ask you, like, when do you take time off? When does Loni Love get a vacation?
Let me tell you something. Joan Rivers, one of my mentors, told me, she says, never take a break in Hollywood. Hollywood will give you a break when you need one. And they've been giving me one.
I know. It's
so, but there are a lot of women out there who they look at their age and they reflect on it. And I think it's a good thing. I always look at the new year as a chance to renew and recharge. I make my goals. I set up my dreams, and I just hit the ground running, and I love it.
You do a vision board?
No, no, I got time for all
I'm
that.
gonna do a vision board.
Okay, yeah, all right.
But
all
I
right.
with
Go.
all nines on it. 99999. This is the year of 9 for me.
Well, happy season, my friend.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, now that we done talked to Erica about her issues,
Thank you.
enough about that. Well, let's talk about our grown-ass woman of the week. This is our way of spotlighting women making a difference, whether it's someone in your community, a friend, or even yourself. And today, I wanted to highlight a woman. Her name is Sheila Eldridge. She is a pioneer in radio and broadcasting. And she is the CEO of a company called Miles Ahead Entertainment. And the reason why I wanted to highlight her is because she went to Howard, she got a communications degree, she worked in broadcasting, and then she decided to go out and become an entrepreneur on her own. And so she started this PR company and broadcasting company. She's been doing it for 25 years. She has a long-running radio show that she executive produces. Is called Cafe Mocha Radio. And what I love about her is that just being a one woman, she has taken her company and she develops things geared towards women. So she does this wonderful thing for each city that her radio show is in, and it's in like 40 cities. She does something called the Salute Her Awards. And those awards, they look for local women and they highlight and give them awards and honor them. And what I love about it is that, putting on award shows is not cheap. She finds the sponsorships, she gets the corporations to come in, and she finds these wonderful women. And it's such a moving thing when you see these women being honored, like the local women. And we're talking about the entrepreneurs or the caregivers. And it's just a beautiful thing. And she's been doing this for 10 years. Not only has she been doing this called the Salute Her Awards, she started doing something to reach out to HBCU students called the HBCU First Look Film Festival. Again, she had to go find corporations that would support her, and she's able to put on this wonderful film festival that's geared towards HBCU students, something that has never been done before. And so she continues to be this pioneer. And why I wanted to highlight her, Erica, is because we often feel that I'm just one person, I can't make a difference. Well, Sheila Eldridge is showing that one person can make a difference, can move, can get people working, can get people going. And so I wanted to just highlight her as our grown-ass woman of the week. Sheila Eldridge, CEO of Miles Ahead Entertainment.
I love it. Thank you for bringing her to our attention. And listen, I love that where there's a will, there's a way, right? And we're in a time in our country and in our lives where you're right. We can make a difference. Don't give up. Even though things may not seem like they're, surmountable, they are. And we, take matters into your own hands like Sheila did.
Definitely. So with that said, we're going to get into our episode. We have a great one for you all today. We're going to get into all sorts of stuff. I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about Barbie has a new doll.
I love Barbie.
Taylor Swift and her bonuses.
Oh boy.
And being in love with a bad boy.
Yes.
And in the final grown-ass topic of the year, we're going to be joined by our friend Kim Alexis as we talk about the power of no. We'll get into all of that and more after the break. This is Grown-Ass Women Talking. Are you a grown-ass woman with something to say? What are you unapologetic about? What's got you fired up?
Are you thrilled the kids are back in school? Or are you mad at your friends for asking you out after 9 p.m.? Did you get stood up on your third Tinder date this week? Whatever it is, let it all out.
Visit our website at GAWTpod.com and leave us a voice message. That's GAWTpod.com. pod.com, or drop us a voice note at gawtpod@gmail.com. We might just play your message on our next episode.
So don't hold back. This is your space to talk about it.
We're back with more GAWT. Now it's time for Grown-Ass Women News. Each week, I'll get Erica's take on the week's entertainment news, current events, and news about grown-ass women. Okay, now I was the one
Yes.
earlier in the season that talked about this woman, Giselle Pellico. And Giselle is in France. Her husband of 50 years was drugging her and inviting other men to come in and sexually assault her. And it became this trial where Giselle took charge of it. She decided to release her identity because she did not want victims to feel shame about being sexually assaulted or raped. And this trial has been going on for 3 months now in France. And this week, they got the verdict. It was not only Giselle's husband that was on trial, but it was about 50 other men.
Oh, my God.
And the way they found him was that he caught a case for taping women publicly looking under their skirts. And when the police started checking his phone and his computer, they found these gross tapes of his wife dead sleep and other men sexually assaulting her. Finally, the verdict came out, and her husband got 20 years. He was found guilty. The men of the 50 men, they all got time, but it varied. So some got as little as 3 years. Some got like 18 years. It just varied. I was so proud to see the support that Giselle received. And she spoke of her difficult ordeal. She says that, "I want you to know that we share the same fight." She said in her first words after the court came out with the verdict. And she basically is just this revered woman now in France. And she wants to be an example to other victims. And I'm just so proud of her. I just wish her all of the best.
Yes, I hope she finds peace. And I hope this husband of hers is put underneath the jail, because that's where he deserves to be. I mean, this is crazy. The fact that, we're in a time, and I think, you made the point so eloquently that, victim shaming is a reason why these women don't come out. That's why they're all, anonymous mostly. And for Giselle to say, you know what, no, I have nothing to be ashamed of. This was done to me. So I'm going to show you the face of a victim who was victimized by her own husband, which is disgusting. And I hope that, with the things that we're, dealing with now in this country, and we've talked about a lot of high profile celebrity cases going on right now, where a lot of women are, they're being questioned because they're not coming out, and giving their identity. So it's easy to say, oh, well, you're not telling the truth. And I think they're afraid to come out because of these powerful people. So I hope that they will look at Giselle as an example, and the fact that she was successful in convicting her husband, maybe give them the courage to, put the name with the face.
But it also brings up a lot of conversation, not only about reporting sexual assaults, but also what is consent.
Well,
because
yes.
a lot of the men were saying they didn't know what consent was.
Well, that's such a good point. And I think it probably goes back to, and you tell me what you think, because they were married. Like, do you have more consent? Does marriage imply consent, right? She's my wife, so I can do what I want with her. I mean, that's the slippery slope of, especially, these antiquated marriage laws. Do you have more leeway because you were married to this person sexually? I mean, that's what's so scary. Like, your husband can beat you in certain countries, you know what I mean? And it's allowed. So, like, what are we doing with the idea that because you're married to someone, you own them sexually?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that he knew what he was doing
No, of
was
course he
wrong.
did.
I mean, if the woman is knocked out, you're drugging her. And this is also going to change a lot of laws because it's this whole thing of drugging women and people to get sex. Things are going to change. She has since distanced herself as much as she could from her husband. She went back to her maiden name. She originally went by the name Pellico for the trial so that her grandchildren could be proud of being related to her and not ashamed of being associated to her husband, who is their grandfather, Dominic. And she has since moved to a village far from their town. She sees a psychiatrist, but doesn't take any medication because she no longer wants to ingest any substance.
Oh
so,
my God.
So like we said, blessings to her, and just just a strong woman.
And thanks for everything you've done for, to make the statement to women not to be ashamed.
Definitely.
If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Call 800-799-7233 or text BEGIN to 88788. They're available to listen confidentially 24/7, 365.
Another woman who's not ashamed.
Uh-oh.
How's that as a segue?
I love it.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift Eras Tour has come to an end. Her team has put in the work, and she rewarded them generously. Over the past 2 years, Swift gave out $197 million in bonuses to everyone working on her tour, including truck drivers, caterers, instrument techs, merch team, the lighting, the sound, anybody, the wardrobe, anybody. She's really changing lives by giving out bonuses. She's showing as a grown-ass woman that, hey, if I'm gonna make the dough, you gonna make the dough with me. What you think about that?
Well, listen, I love that. I love a generous Tay Tay because she's also a Sag like me. We're all very generous. But what I will say is, I think she needs to do a television show right about now, right? So she probably needs a writer, producer. I'm ready for some bonuses. Going back to how you were talking about how hard you work, I think the only person who works harder than you is Taylor Swift. And she's probably got these people, running them through the ringer. So this is I'm sorry I, made your life hell for the last year. Here's some money, It's the apology of I was a bitch. I was a diva all year. Here's some money to make up for it. And I'm not mad at that.
I love it. You know what? Pretty soon she's gonna have a doll made about her.
I will be the first.
Mattel is gonna make a doll. Can I say doll?
Doll? Where are you from?
Doll.
That's how they say it in Detroit. Doll.
A doll.
Oh God.
They are gonna make a doll
No,
for Taylor
there you
Swift.
go. You got
I believe that. Okay. Because along with the likes of Ida B. Wells, Naomi Osaka, Cecilia Cruz, and a sorority of other history-making women, Mattel has announced the newest member of the Barbie's Inspiring Women series. Now, I love this series.
I love it too.
They make these dolls. They made one of Ava DuVernay. It was so cute, But Mattel has just announced the newest member of Barbie's Inspiring Women series, Maria Tallchief. Now, she was a member of the Osage Nation and a trailblazer in the Native American community who left an indelible mark on the ballet history as America's first prima ballerina.
What?
I did not know this.
That's crazy.
I'm like, see, this is why you have to do these types of things
Yes.
to educate the masses. I mean, it's like I gotta go look up Maria Tallchief. I gotta look her all up. I gotta watch her dancing. And it's just, and the way they made her, they made a beautiful doll of her. They have her in a red tutu with some pink ballet slippers and like a red headpiece. And it's just a wonderful way to teach history. I just think this is just fantastic.
I love it. And it's, it's a shame that Mattel has to be the ones to do, inclusivity in this country since everyone else in the government is trying to get rid of it. Right? It's like Barbie's the only one who's being inclusive at this point. But I love it. Let Barbie tell us our history, right?
Definitely. Well, a little bit about Maria. Maria was the artistic director at the Chicago Opera Ballet and was the founder and artistic director of the Chicago City Ballet. She was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame in 1996. She passed in 2013, but this is just a great way to renew her legacy and to let her legacy live on. And it's just another way to, being a woman of color, a Native American, to honor and show that we all are important and we all are part of this country. I just think it's great.
I think it's amazing. And again, where there's a will, there's a way. If you can't make things happen in Washington, go to Barbie.
Love it. I love it. Okay, we got to talk about this whole Luigi Mangione situation. Luigi allegedly shot the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. A lot of people were celebrating just Brian, even before they knew Luigi. They were celebrating the death of the CEO because healthcare in the system, especially under United Healthcare, for a lot of people allegedly is not good. When it comes to actual claims, United Healthcare is last when it comes to accepting and approving claims. And people got online when this murder happened, and they were basically celebrating it, and they were sharing their stories about people that couldn't get approvals for medicine or tests or things like that. So even before they saw Luigi, they were celebrating and upset that our healthcare system is, in their eyes, being manipulated. And so that was the reason for that. Then, a couple of days, Luigi's on the run. We see what Luigi looks like.
We're like, hello, Luigi.
26-year-old, good-looking Italian man. And now it's gotten worse. It's like people are like, oh, he's fine. Free him.
Free Luigi.
Luigi has become the people's prince right now. The public is, they're both sides of it. They know that it's wrong. They know that it's wrong what he did. But a lot of people are saying, look at the people that have died because of United Healthcare and their alleged practices. So you have that. But then let's talk about these desperate bitches that's over here talking about, you ain't fine.
Well, I will say two things. I think you're 100% right. I think there are two different stories here, right? It is
right.
Like, people are pissed about healthcare. And I get it. I mean, when you have to choose between buying groceries and whether you can buy your heart medication, I mean, it's fucked up, and so I get that. So, he is the Robin Hood even before they found out he was fine. It's like, these people need to know that we're out here hurting was the first sentiment, right? And
right.
then his big eyebrows are on TV. And you're like, wait a minute. Hello, Luigi. What's going on over here? And it makes it even better because he's not only hot, but he's like the common man. He's fighting for the common man, which is a crazy narrative because you don't shoot people in the street. And this man the man he killed had kids and a wife, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and he's just doing his job. I mean, what is he's not able to change the system. He just goes to work every day. So yeah, all of that is messed up. But what I would like to discuss for our purposes as grown-ass women is, what are we doing, ladies? Like, why are we like Luigi, the Menendez brothers? Like, aren't there any other men out there for us to be attracted to? The Menendez brothers are both married. And they're both killers. So what?
They were in jail and got married.
Yes. So what? There's slim pickings out here, Loni, clearly.
It's like, but you know what? In Luigi's case too, like, he got extradited back to New York. They knew exactly what they were doing. They had him clean shaven.
Of course.
He had a haircut. I'm like, wait, how is all this happening?
Because they know a photo off when they see one. And meanwhile, what's Luigi's last name? Because it could be an Erica Montalvo, Gaki Barabara. That's right up my alley.
Mangione?
Mangione.
Mangione?
Yep, it's right. It's perfect. Right up my alley.
Oh, Mangione. Thank you, Siege.
Yes.
Mangione? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if he wasn't arrested for murder, he could be my next husband because he's right up my alley.
You like those Italians.
I like anything with an oni.
Oh,
And big eyebrows. Eyebrows are everything.
I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you can't. Bad boys, no.
Listen, I agree.
They all getting caught. They all okay.
And
look at the news.
What did we talk about the other day? Like last week, we're talking about the rappers, right? Like how all these girls are going through the stuff with their rap boyfriends. Listen, get an acoustic guitar playing guy who doesn't. That's the lane you should be in. Someone who sings, Bob Dylan songs.
You still got issues with him too.
That's true.
I don't want to be labeled.
The moral of the story is men ain't shit. Period. The end. Next story.
Some are, and
well,
I want to say that
James. We know James is only men.
No, we're leaving James out of this. Some men are okay because they're still getting married.
Aww.
And we want to give a special shout out to our friend Yvette Nicole Brown, the actress. She was on Community. She does a bunch of movies. Well, we all celebrated and went to her wedding to Anthony Davis, who is also an actor.
Aww.
And Yvette's story is that, she's 53 years old and she never gave up on love. I mean, there's so many women in their 50s that feel like life is over, that they can't find their love. And it's just not true. It's just, as long as you are breathing, you can find somebody.
Well, listen, I love this story just because I saw you all up in her wedding. So, again, no +1 for me, but whatever.
Well, she didn't give +1s.
No, yeah,
it was, how expensive weddings are.
It looked beautiful. It looked gorgeous. And she looked so happy. It was just like, I mean, literally the smile on her face and his face. You felt it radiating through the pictures. And I'm not, listen, me in marriage, I'm not mad at someone who, for me, having known her story of looking for so long, I think when she stopped looking, she found. And that's, to me, a lesson of like, when something's for you, it's going to come to you. And this was the love she was meant to have.
So stop looking, Erica.
I'm not looking. Everybody's looking for me. I'm trying to get out of these relationships. I'm trying to sabotage all of them. Right?
So you would get married again?
I don't think so. I mean, I never say never. But I do, like for example, like when I was in this relationship I told you about the guy whose daughter and I are still close, who's come to stay with me. Like, for her, I would have done it, because like for a family, for that reason. But I have no need to have Mangione at the last of my name. I don't want to add another hyphen. I'm good.
I'm not getting married. I can tell you that.
But
much.
why? What is going on?
There's no need for me to get married. I just don't feel like there's a need for me to be
James
married.
is like you guys are the perfect couple. Like,
there's a commitment there.
Right.
The commitment's right there.
And so
but there's some women, they want that extra, like, they want the ceremony, they want the thrill, and they want all of that, and they want to show the world that. I'm like, I am happy with my commitment, like my commitment to you and my commitment to Siege, and it's just y'all get on my nerves, but I am committed.
You would have divorced me so long ago if you could. Marry that man, make him legitimate, Loni.
He is legitimate.
He wants to get married.
You have Kurt. Kurt Russell and
Goldie Hawn.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that have never married, and I just think, and especially when you get older, I'm like, I feel like marriage is, if you're gonna have kids and all that kind of stuff, then fine. But other than that, I'm on a comedy stage somewhere almost every damn weekend. I get enough attention. I don't need it.
But if James wants it, like if James was like, Loni, I really want us to.
James doesn't want it. See, that's the thing. Y'all need to understand. Get with people that you talk to him, he talk to you. Y'all say what you want. That way, later on down the line, you ain't going, I want to get married. Right. We talked about this. Okay, we talked about this. That's all I'm saying. So, but I believe that you should find someone compatible, find you a committed person, and just live your life. I mean, and that's what we're going to do for you, Erica. We're going to find you.
Oh, dear.
Someone that's compatible.
There's no one compatible. You already know that. You know me. I am a unicorn.
No, there you are a unicorn, but there's somebody that ride that
Ah,
unicorn.
let's try that. I'm down for that.
Well, speaking of saying no, we're going to take a break so that we can jump into our topic with Kim Alexis, the power of saying no. We'll be right back. This is Grown Ass Women Talking.
No.
I'm Kim Alexis, and this is Grown Ass Women Talking.
Today's guest is a legendary face in the modeling industry, having graced over 500 covers and walking the runways for top designers around the world. She has been a judge for Miss World, Miss Universe, Miss America, and Miss Teen USA, recognizing beauty inside and out. Her passion for wellness and clean living inspired her to write 11 books, including several popular ebooks on healthy lifestyle practices. Known for her commitment for setting healthy boundaries and staying true to herself, her journey as a model and author has empowered countless women. Please welcome Kim Alexis. Hello, Miss Alexis.
Yes,
I'm gonna
Diva.
hire you to do all my intros.
Right? She's good. She's good at this.
I love it. And we are so excited to have you. Can you tell us what you're currently working on?
I am now the wellness ambassador nationwide for all of the trilogies, which is with Shea Homes. So we help to set up healthy menus for all the members that live in these active adult communities and trilogies, and help with their fitness program and their mental health and strength and social interactions and spirituality. So just really embracing members and trying to come alongside them and encourage them and teach them to stay well and fit and happy. And that's just really interesting to go to these adult communities and just see how active people my age are. They're out, they're about, they're doing stuff, and I just love it. So I'm really enjoying myself.
That's wonderful. I mean, what would you say for our listeners out there with, because we are all grown ass women, one maybe two or
Yes.
three things for staying healthy and active?
Obviously, the two things that most come to mind that we should do every day is put food, healthy, nutritious food in our body. And I have a feeling when many people think, oh, well, I eat healthy, and then you follow them around, including me once in a while, you'll find like, why are you eating that? So, really becoming educated that yes, you do need to eat, but why don't you make a healthier choice, and giving those options or teaching people how to shop, and so that there are no temptations in your pantry or in your refrigerator, which I can't have for my husband. If I bake, all the bacon
Yeah.
gone by the end of the night. And the other thing I would
Right.
say is keep moving. As we age, we have to keep moving because things start to get creaky, and mobility and balance are very important. So really working on core strength and a little bit of free weights, they help with your bone density. And so those two things are just very, very important.
When did you get healthy and when did you realize nutrition was an important thing?
Yeah, I grew up with my mom. Number one, our parents didn't have tools. And so things that were available and out there, we thought were already pre-approved and everyone is fine and we should all be good. And so I had to learn slowly myself. And so I'm 18 by myself in New York. And I remember starting to like listen to everybody, and they started doing like cleansing juices and they were doing masks. Now I'm 18 years old and I'm doing a mask, so I don't worry about getting older. And I'm like, but those things
Exactly.
accumulate,
Crazy.
so I learned slowly about food, but I would do stupid things like stop eating altogether. And for me, myself, that doesn't work. And I'll tell you a quick story. I was on the set for Vogue, and I was working with Irving Penn, who was a very famous, very older gentleman, very, very
Mm-hmm.
calm, very
Sure.
much gentleman, would dress up when he would go to work in a suit, and just a kind, wonderful man. I decided I was fat that day. And it for Vogue, if you're doing something with him, it takes an hour or two for hair and makeup, and then you have the clothes. And once you put the clothes on, you can't wrinkle, and so you don't sit down. And he decides to call lunch. And so I decided, well, I'm not eating, I'm fat, so I'm just going to stand here. So I literally stood in the clothes because I didn't want to sit. I stared at everyone that was eating. I was starving. And I finally got onto set maybe about 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. and he's looking through his camera and he's looking up at me and he's looking back through his camera and he's looking at me, and it was a full length. I was sitting on a like a cube, and he finally looks at the editors of Vogue and he says, "I can't work with her. She has no life in her eyes. Get off set." I never worked with him again. So I had
What?
to learn starving did not work. So, okay, now I have to
Right.
eat. So what do I do? And where do I turn? And so I, I wrote a book called Dieting Lessons because I literally had to learn as I went. This one didn't work. Now I don't resolve it because each person has different issues as to what works for themselves. But
Sure.
I told you what I went through and all the different things and options that are out there, and some work for some people. Like I get mad when a guy will say, "Oh, I just stopped eating cookies and I lost 35 pounds." And I'm like, I didn't eat cookies to begin with. That doesn't help me any.
Right, right, right. But I mean, but as a grown ass woman, which is our, topic here, like did you become more comfortable with your body image as you transition into being a grown ass woman versus, being an 18-year-old in New York?
Yes, so what I decided was as long as I was eating as well as I could, and as long as I was moving some way, whether it was out for a run or going swimming or whatever, going to the gym, whatever it was, if I was doing those things towards positive health and I was still the weight I was, I'd better just learn to love myself. So I got to the point as I got older, I'm like, kind of just give up. And now I'm heavier than I was back then, but you have to at some point love yourself and know this is my best me, this I'm doing my very best, and this is what I've got, and so deal with it.
Absolutely.
Okay, for today's grown ass topic, ladies, it's been a year. We're
Oof.
constantly asked to overextend ourselves, to give more time, energy, and even pieces of ourselves to keep others comfortable. But today, we're saying no more. Saying no isn't just something women are encouraged to do, but in times like these, no is not just a full sentence, it's a movement. It's about
Yes. No.
reclaiming our boundaries and valuing ourselves enough to draw the line. Let's dive into the power of saying no and how it can bring strength, freedom, clarity to our lives. So, starting with you, Kim, the power of no. Have you
Yes,
felt it, sister?
I did. I actually had to learn it at the age of 18 when I first went to New York City, and just really not even being totally grown up yet and just graduating high school 30 days before, where I had been under the rule of teachers and school administration and my parents' rules at home. A month later, I'm in New York City living by myself, where I can do what I want, stay up as late as I want. So I literally had to learn what made me feel good, what made me not feel good, that inner ooh in your gut where you say, this is not the right circumstance for me. And so really learning that young and saying, nope, that doesn't sound so good. I'm not going that way. And even if it was good for my career, or it might have this or might have that, I'm like, nope. I've I've got something else I can fall back on. I'm not going to compromise myself because I don't feel right.
Good for you. Your spidey senses kicked in early.
Yeah, thank
What
goodness.
about you, Erica? Do you know about, have you embraced the power of no yet, Erica?
I'm learning to do it more so professionally. I think in my personal life, I'm very good at boundaries, right? But I think Lonnie and I talk about this. We're both kind of in male dominated careers. Like she's a comedian, I'm a writer. So I'm oftentimes in situations where I feel like I have to say yes. Because would this guy say yes? You know what I mean? Like I need to go to this party, or I need to go play golf with someone, which I'm not trying to do that. But I'm trying to be in situations where I can be in the room where I really would rather not be in the room. But I need to be in the room because I need to be a part of these the boys club. And so that's where I'm learning that as I become more successful and less needy, I am trying to say no to those situations.
Especially with women, Kim. Why does it seem like if we say no, then we appear as the difficult one? And
I
how do we get over feeling guilty about that?
Well, those are two powerful questions. So I think number one, people ask us to do a lot because we're nurturers and we get a lot of stuff done.
Mhm.
Right? I
100%.
mean, when
Absolutely.
you're a mother, you got a baby on your hip. I remember I was nursing my first son and I'm trying to balance a checkbook at the same time. And I'm like, what am I doing? So we
Mm-hmm.
we can do a lot and we keep thinking we can do a lot. So we keep saying yes because we're trying to help everyone else. And that's just part of our nature. So we have to learn sometimes that yes is at the expense of our own energy or mindset or peace. And we can't lose that those things that we have built around ourselves and what gives us that strength can't be compromised.
And how do we not feel guilty about it though?
That was the second part. So the guilty part is because we're putting ourselves in their shoes and we need to self-examine and say, I don't feel guilty because I've maintained my peace and I haven't written a check to that person that I'm going to be pissed at for like the next 5 years, whatever it is. I think
Hmm.
that sometimes you have to guard yourself and know you're doing that for yourself. And we are so
Hmm.
empathetic about everybody else. That's where that guilt comes in,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
100%. I also think not just guilt, but I think there's also the danger of being resentful because we do say yes so much, and we're again playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. We're dancing backwards in heels while someone else is dancing with us. We're doing the most, and I think saying yes sometimes leads us to a place where we're going to explode and be resentful and blame the other person for putting us in that position. But it really is our power to say no that would prevent that kind of animosity in the future.
I noticed with like my husband, if I'm making dinner and it's garbage night, I'm kind of fuming because he didn't remember to take the garbage out. But
Exactly.
if I
Exactly.
kindly say or remind him, hun, instead of why didn't you do that? So it's how you approach it. But
Right.
all they want to know, they said, just let me know. Don't yell at me. Just let me know. So they just I had 3 sons. They just need to be reminded of stuff all the time. So don't be resentful to those guys. Just gentle nudge.
That reminds me because, my boyfriend James and I, we live together, Kim, and he's always supposed to give me water, bottled water.
James is an angel, by the way. He's a
He
saint.
forgets sometimes. So I'm being the actress I am. Like if there's like one time there was no water in the house, like none.
And that's James's fault.
But yes, it is his fault. So I'm like waiting for him to come from work and I'm laid out on the floor and it's so dramatic. He's like, "Why are you on the floor? I'm dying of thirst. I have no water." So yeah, there are ways that you could do it without yelling at him. So I agree with you right there, Kim.
Reverse osmosis in your house or something.
I'm going to bring James some water next week.
But what are some tips? I want to ask, what are some tips for saying no without over explaining or apologizing?
Number one, you have to know your own strengths and your own boundaries. So sometimes what if someone asks you to write a script and it's midnight and you don't do well at midnight? So you almost have to say, hey, I'd love to help you out, but this is better for me. Just give an option. So knowing your own boundaries and where you're good and where you're not and what time you're better. I'm more efficient early in the morning. Don't ask me to do something at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. I'm not going to be balancing checkbooks. I'm not going to be on business meetings. So I want to do those things at 5, 6 in the morning.
But see, I think that's so smart. I mean, especially again, that goes to the grown ass woman of it all because I think when we were younger, it was like, oh, when do you want it? Okay, I'll have it first thing in the morning for you. Now it's like, you know what? Like, I'm not good in the morning. I'll get it to you tomorrow night because we own that space now versus like trying to people please when we were younger, right?
Right. And so you got that inner thing. This is good for me. You got to say that.
Right.
I think that is so important, but it's also like I was at the film festival this weekend, and one of the students, we had this wonderful showrunner, and she was giving out advice, Kim. And so we had a question and answer, and one of the students stood up and said, "Would you mentor me?" And, I just felt in my heart, my chest cave in because I knew she was going to have to tell him no. But the way she did it, it was so sweet because she said, "I already mentor a lot of other people, so I don't want to tell you yes and then I don't have the time. But what I will do is I will give you some other people that can do it for you." So it
Right.
got her off the hook, but she also had a solution to that. So sometimes saying no is about being truthful. I mean, how much of the truth comes out of saying no?
Well, see, that's really smart. And I love that story because I find myself in that situation quite a bit as a showrunner. I mentor a lot of young writers, and I can't say no to them. It's easier for me to say no to, like, again, like, my agents, or like, they're like, Erica, you want to do this project? No. It's easy to speak truth to power for me at this point in my career versus I feel for the people who are coming up because I was coming up and people really helped me. So it's interesting. I mean, I have a more altruistic way of wanting to help people. So that's where I have a hard time saying no.
Do people still ask you for help when it comes to modeling and things like that, Kim?
That's why I wrote a book. I wrote my first book on how I got discovered so I wouldn't have to keep saying the same story over and over again.
Yeah, read my book. Read my book.
I love it. But also when we talk about the power of no, sometimes we have to also do the power of yes. When can we say yes, Kim?
I think when you have that inner peace immediately, or you say, let me think about it, or let me pray about it, or whatever comes to mind. But sometimes immediately I'm fine with things because I have a great peace about it. And so, yeah, that's right up my alley. You have to know what you're good at, where you want to go, what your future goals are. And when you know that, it's like, hey, that aligns with which way I want to go. Let's go that way.
I love that too because I think again, as we get older, we like a yes. It means like that's a joy. That's something's going to bring me joy, right? Like that's a yes for me. Like, oh, you want to go for a walk in the park? That's a yes. You want to
Yeah,
get this puppy? That's a or whatever it is. But it's like
right.
an instantaneous. Like, yeah, that's going to make me feel happy. So that's a yes. As if you have to think about it a little bit, it's like, is that going to really do anything for me? Then that should be a no, quite frankly.
Right.
So I think
Right.
we become much more crystallized as to what that yes and no is when we get older and where we are in
Yeah.
our lives right now.
Even shopping. Like you start seeing stuff online,
Yeah.
"Oh, I need that."
Yes.
Oh, and then I'm like, if I save the website up and then look at it the day after, I'm like, why was I so into that?
Let's go back when you were younger and you were dating, because we have a lot of listeners who are young and dating and they need to learn how to
And
say
old and
no.
old in dating too. Hello.
Okay, speak for yourself,
Yes.
Erica.
Old and
Uh,
dating is a thing too. Just saying.
how do us girls say no to the guys, especially when he fine, Kim?
Part of that is knowing your own value system and looking ahead. How am I going to feel if I say yes to whatever it is he asks? And so I think some of these young girls are starting to get smart that they realize that they themselves have value and that they don't need to give every bit of themselves away. And Hollywood is against it. All the movies you see, everything is like free love and open sex. And I mean, the message is saying one thing, but I think the inner peace of a person sometimes is, you know what? I don't feel it. I have to wait. So it's
Well, how
really
long have you
that
been
simple.
married? Because
7 years.
you're
Seven.
married, right? Oh,
I'm
7.
married.
Okay, so not too long.
Well, I've got two other ex-husbands, so I have learned the hard way.
See,
Yeah.
Loni, she's on number 3. That I'm divorced twice too, so we're contemplating number 3 too. So I'm with you, Kim. Maybe the third one's a charm. Are you saying is that what's going on?
Yes, he's wonderful.
Aw,
I love
see,
it.
see.
But even when you ended, that was a hard no. If you feel a relationship coming to an end, but you kind of like don't know, how do you get the courage to do that hard no?
And I want to write a book on this. To me, there's always a last straw. And I think for me, I could be pushed, pushed, and pushed and pushed. And then the dumbest, stupidest comment or dumb little thing, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. So it's not perfect, but I always communicated, this is how I feel, this is what I need, this is where I'm going, this is and really spending time communicating and not being heard and getting to that point that it was so bad where I had to say, I'm out and refinding who I was and what I wanted and spending time alone with just me and figuring out who I was, what I wanted, what's that self-talk? Is it good or is it bad? And where do I want to go?
Kim, can I tell you that if you're, I mean, again, I write the books, I will read it.
We need that one.
Yeah, we need that book because it's exactly what happened to me in my last marriage. I literally, we'd been together for 12 years, and same thing. I really tried to communicate, and I would say to him, "You're going to lose me for 12 years over time of just of confronting things that were an issue. When you kind of have told someone and communicated that this is what you need in a relationship, and they continue to be, kind of take you for granted and say, "Where's she going? She's not going anywhere. This is, 12
Right.
years in, we're good."
Comfortable.
I keep telling you, no, I'm not good. You're going to lose me. And then that one last straw goes tink, and it's
Yeah.
boom. So
Yeah.
yes, I mean,
Yep.
the lesson is, men, listen to your women when they're telling you
Do you
that.
get dramatic, Kim, when that one last straw hits? Is it just like you just "Ah!"
Mine
Like
was no,
Erica.
mine was like just mic drop and I was out. I was quiet. I'm not really a screamer and a
See,
confronter.
I love the mic drop. I wish I had done that.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Is there any example, Kim, if you have from your past where no was a thing that really helped your career?
I'm not sure if it helped my career. I would probably say no didn't help my career, but no helped me stay peaceful. And if I had to go in a direction that was compromising who I was or what I felt about myself, I wouldn't be here now, being able to give other people advice. So I may not be making as much money as all these young girls are now, but I have so much strength and so much inner peace that that's more important.
Where do you think you got that? Because again, I mean, coming from your industry, I mean, being a model, I mean, there's so many situations where you're compromised or you have to choose, not to be compromised, which could absolutely, hurt your career. Like, how did you have the strength to say no in those situations?
I think for me, I was always questioning, how do I feel about this? What's going to happen? Work it out in my head, or just know immediately that knee-jerk reaction, like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. Like, why would I do that? So early in my career, my agent, now I'm like 18, 19 years old, just getting started. And my agency said, we want you to go down. There's this great, very famous singer. I won't say who it is in another country. He has his own private jet, his own private villa in another country, and he wants you to fly down for the weekend. I'm like, no, why would I do that? Because I think I'm a control freak because it was his plane, his country, his villa, and I made my agency mad at the time. They're like, "This is an opportunity." I'm like, "Not for me. I don't want it." So there must have been something there, and your poor mom can't teach you every single circumstance. So when this person says this, you do this. At some point it has to be, and sports I think really helped with that too. I was a swimmer, and so I was disciplined. I was in the band. I was constantly doing things and staying busy. And so I had value. But my value growing up was in my good grades and my fast swimming times. And if I was playing my clarinet well, and I was also working in a drugstore for $1.98 an hour back in the day. And so I literally had that all these other things going for me, but my value system as I was growing up was all those grades and things. When I went to New York City, nobody cared if I was an A student or if I had a fast swimming time. As a matter of fact, all they wanted me to do was lose that muscle and be super skinny. And so my whole value system, well, like what I used to lean on was like, well, what about this? This is where I used to get my strokes. And so that was no longer important. I had to adjust.
What type of women or friends did you have that helped you to, you know, be able to be okay with saying no?
I had other girlfriends in the modeling business, so I was very good friends with Nancy Donahue and Kelly Emberg. Kelly was dating
Hmm.
Rod Stewart for a while. I don't know if you know her. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but they were my friends from day one, and we still know each other so well and can pick up the phone after not talking to each other for a while. And we were able to bounce things off of each other in this crazy business when we were in our teens in New York City. And we all went through things together, and we didn't do it perfectly. None of us did it perfectly. But they were there for me. So you have to have a girlfriend or somebody that you can just bounce things off of. And I would literally fly home sometimes just to go get a dose of normal, or what I'd grown up with as
Hmm.
normal, and just be with my parents and my sister. And I love my sister. I've got my sister's stronger than I am. She's definitely
Aw,
very wise. She's younger, but sometimes I still call her for advice. So just to
I
have
love that.
that team around you of people you trust. And sometimes when you want an answer to something, do you realize, like, you go to one girlfriend that you know is going to say the answer you want to hear versus another one that you don't call that one that,
Absolutely.
right? Isn't that strange? So it
Mhm.
almost
Absolutely.
gives you your answer. If it's like, oh, well, if I'm going to call her, that must mean which way I want to go. So it's defining.
I
I
love
love.
that.
And how do you handle when someone tells you no? Do you handle it well?
That's a good question.
Yes, yes. Because I've got my own life and I'm strong in myself, and I just and listen, the modeling business was all about rejection.
Yes,
All about, I
sure.
mean, we're self-employed, probably the same with comedians. You're
Hmm.
self-employed.
Yeah.
So
And writers were the same. Yeah.
yeah, see? And constantly you're getting these opportunities, but you don't have a 9 to 5 steady job. You don't have a steady income. You don't have guaranteed money. Everything was new and everything was changing all the time. So you really had to rely on picking and choosing. And we didn't understand branding back then. We didn't understand protecting your brand, your name, your reputation. A lot of the girls kind of would go off, and I mean, I wasn't perfect. I went off a couple times here and there, but um coming back to center and just realizing, yo, that didn't feel good. I'm going to come back to, this is where I feel good. This is where I find my peace. This is where I have my strength and my value, and which way I want to go, and how I want to leave a legacy, and how I want my children to look at me as I age.
What's so interesting you say that, because I mean, for me, I think to your point, I think in the industries that we're in, we're so used to hearing no, right? So you kind of like
Yeah.
build up a callus for it, and it's like it's not personal because it's like it's all business. But I have a hard time hearing no from like my girlfriends, for example. Like if I went to New York this weekend to like be with my friend who like is that friend who like you go to when you need to like cuddle and like be taken in and be nurtured. But if she
Yeah.
had told me no, don't come to New York, I would have been like, I would have been really hurt. You know what I mean? So like it cuts deeper when it's a personal no versus a business no.
But if you're a true friend,
Yeah, and if it was for a reason that she needed to do something, you love her enough to say, "Go be free and we'll catch up next time."
No, I would be really no.
she spoiled.
I'm very spoiled.
So, Kim, any final thoughts about the power of saying no?
I believe when you look back on your life after staying true to yourself, and sometimes that means saying no, you will just feel better about standing strong. And so just realize that this opportunity or this moment is going to go away, and you want to leave a legacy of some sort. So how are people going to view you later in life? So it's with those choices. So I'm always looking for doing good in all situations and making healthy choices. And when I do that, then I go to bed with peace.
Well, I want to be Kim Alexis when I grow up. I mean, come on now.
That will never happen. Kim Alexis, thank you. It has been an honor for you to join
It's so
us
amazing.
today. What a pleasure. And thank you for all the words of wisdom. When we come back, we're going to get into the takeaway. This is Grown Ass Women Talking. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah. Mwah. Welcome back. Now's the time where we get to hear Lonnie's takeaway. Lonnie, what did we learn today?
You know, Kim Alexis is a legend when it comes to fashion, and to be able to get through that industry and still come out on top, it tells you that she had to learn the power of saying no. And sometimes when you have that power of saying no, you're not going to be the likable person. People might stop talking to you. People, may label you difficult or whatever. But like Kim said, your inner peace is the most important thing. And that's what I learned the most about. It's like, at the end of the day, your no is going to help your inner peace, then you say no. You can't be everywhere every time. You can't talk to everybody. You can't, loan everybody money. You got to look out for yourself sometimes.
100%.
I'm talking to James.
James, bring Loni some water.
Bring me water. So, but that's what I got out of it. It's that the power of saying no is really to help you to keep your mental together and keep yourself together. And I think it was just great. And it's something sometimes we have to be reminded of, because as women, we're always, people want to make us feel guilty just because we want to look out for ourselves, whether that's your children, whether it's your man, whether it's your job. Sometimes you got to just look out for you. And sometimes that's when it's like, no. That's a complete sentence. No.
I agree. I think, and also what is interesting, no also means boundary. So if no means you don't get that job, that's not the job for you. If no means you don't get that dude, boy, man, whatever, then that's not the man for you. So, but you know what I always say yes to, though?
What?
You, Loni.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us for another episode of Grown Ass Women Talking. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram or YouTube at GAWT Pod. I'm always making some good Instagrams, so like them. Go on there and leave a comment. Like them. And look at the YouTube too. See, she's working hard. Y'all don't appreciate me. And don't tell me no to that. And come see me perform stand-up. Thanks again to Kim Alexis for joining us. And thank you, Erica.
And thank you, Loni. And I say yes to you every day. And James, bring Loni some water. Bye. Love to everyone. Grown Ass Women Talking is a collaboration between True Love Productions, Dunnigan Lane Productions, and Heart Media Productions. Our executive producers are Loni Love, Erica Montalfo, and Siege Pokinghorn.
This episode was produced by Siege Pokinghorn and edited by Nicholas Crawford. Our music is by Cole Curtis. Special thanks to Elizabeth Munch